still speaking about like inspirations and things to take away as like a lesson learned. Again, for me was I don't need to make sound effects for everything. I don't need to overly describe everything, but also in a real world setting with your friends and with people that you know, 7 people at a table is too much.
Oh. Welcome to Take the Damage podcast by Unfortunate Ones. I'm Sov.
I'm Nix.
And I'm Graythorn.
And today's topic is... Oh, lost my die.
Oh, go get it. Oh.
All right. Today's topic is... Ooh, a 1. A critical failure. What's a critical failure on our topics list?
Well, actually...
Inspirations.
Yeah, I was
what inspires us?
I was going to say, I think the way that our chart works is the thing that we have the most amount of like agreement that we could talk a whole bunch about is the one.
Yeah.
So the crit failures are like the best things for us.
Until there's like multiple tangents and
Of
then essentially it's a crit failure because like you lost your chance to talk about something you love and now you're talking about 5 other things.
Yeah. That's your problem, Gray. You're like, ooh, I can't wait to talk. Oh, they're okay. They're talking about that. Okay, let me just sit here. No, they're just gonna keep talking. Okay, like I'll just.
Oh, they're moving on. Oh, they're moving on now.
Okay, we're all right. Oh, we're in the commercial now.
You gotta insert yourself, Gray. You gotta insert yourself, brother.
So speaking about inserting yourself, Sov. No. Gray, what are your inspirations?
Gray, what inspires you when you're writing? What inspires you?
What do we mean exactly by inspirations?
So in my mind, knowing you as a DM is you could go with what inspires your basic lore, what could inspire the way that you DM, because you've already talked about some of that, or like what inspires
mediums,
like
what
characters
inspires
that you make.
Okay, so general inspirations for everything that I do so far.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this
really
this
general
cover.
loosey goosey topic.
Yeah, that's a long list of things because a lot of the things that I've written in my life all kind of flowed into the same universe of stuff, and that's all started when I was like 8 years old.
Sure.
So,
My Little Pony.
Exactly.
I mean, if that was just based off of Gray's My Little Pony T-shirt and his like hat that says My Little Pony on it, that's what I thought.
God, I love Applejack.
Oh my God.
But not really. I hate bronies so much. Shit. I guess like the first 2 inspirations I really got were the sci-fi show Stargate SG-1.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And then the anime Inuyasha.
Inuyasha is great.
Mm-hmm. That Inuyasha kind of gave me like the idea to work with humans that aren't fully human.
Sure.
Because, Inuyasha had his stupid little dog ears.
Yeah.
And people loved it. And I'm like, I like the idea of people not being human entirely. And then that kind of branched out to watching, what was the name of that show? With Jessica Alba. Dark Angel.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
God, I've not even thought about that show in forever.
That was a great show. But I also kind of built into the idea of having like humanoid mutants.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, X-Men didn't really have much of a play because they were way too superpowered in my opinion.
Yeah.
And the things that I do now are a lot more close to the chest. So Dark Angel kind of hit that spot real good. But between that, I could just go off another list of stuff. There was another game I played called Star Ocean to the End of Time, which I'm sure none of you guys have any idea what that is.
I've heard the name Star Ocean before, but I'm not very familiar with the concept or the game or
the third entry to the series. So the first 2 games is like I think the first one is you're some person on a medieval planet and then a ship lands and then you find some people from outer space and then they go on a mission with you to go find some stuff and you're dealing with people from space and fighting people from medieval worlds and there's like some form of magic and all that stuff, right?
Sure.
The second game is you're people from space and then you crash land on a planet and you're pretty much doing the same thing. And then 3, which kind of gave me like the basis for the universe that I like to work in, combined with Stargate. So Star Ocean and Stargate have a big kind of draw on this. Is the third game, it is revealed that the world is a video game.
Oh, okay.
And then you're all just NPCs in a big galactic universal video game thing.
Yeah.
And so that gave me a huge inspirational draw. When I combined it with Stargate, which has a similar premise where, well, the universe wasn't created by the higher race, the Alterans. They exist as gods.
Okay.
And people worship them as gods, even though they're not.
Yeah.
And so that had a huge inspiration to how I write stuff, or to how I wrote my universe. And then from then on, it just started becoming like, oh yeah, I like this idea, I like this concept, I like that things, and I just kind of.
Yeah, it'd be hard
Sure.
for me to talk about any like I definitely have a lot of inspirations, but as far as like as a GM, I pull from so many different mediums,
tons of different like medias from throughout my entire life.
Yeah, totally.
Stargate, Star Ocean, Inuyasha. What was that one?
I mean, I
Mabinogi is a huge one.
nice. I think, like you said, it's because you have such your main story that you've been telling is like not singular, but you have that like thorough track record of like, this is my one universe and one story that I've been telling different stories from.
Yeah, and as I grow older and I experience new things, I start.
Yeah, so it's easier for you to kind of narrow, at least based off what you said, it seems like it's easier to narrow down like what were like even the starting inspirations. Because I'm much more like Sov, which is like, I don't have a story like that. I don't have like this main
world.
story or a world that I've been. Usually when I have the concept of a world, I just kind of start building something. Or if I want to tell a story that has a dynamic world,
I'll
just
it
start
springs
building
off of a random thought.
Yeah. And it's like Sov's inspired by many different things. I mean, when I was younger, huge anime head, so like a bunch of different animes, but also like Fifth Element was such a influential movie when I was younger in terms of like my creativity. So I love like Fifth Element, like that style of like that weird mix of like science and magic, and like things can be explained, but also you don't need to explain everything. Like that to me is super cool.
Oh, not explaining everything is such a fantastic tool.
Yeah.
Love it. For me, I don't know about like world or, specific storylines. Like I kind of pull from everything, and I make so many new worlds all the time that aren't connected to each other whenever I play. But moods, I've always been in love with grittier mediums. So like I remember like one of my first favorite films was Watchmen, and particularly Rorschach in Watchmen, and just like the grittiness, his terrible perspective on the world and how horrible the world is. Accurate, but terrible. Perspective on how horrible the world is. And
inspiration
then like
to your personal outlooks.
Yeah. And then like how bittersweet and bad the ending of that film was.
Yeah.
I like the darkness and grittiness of like Sin City, a lot of old Westerns as well. Actually, maybe not too old of Westerns. Probably more modern Westerns, though not like 2000s, 210s, but like 90s.
Yeah.
Maybe early 2000s. But like just grittier. Hopelessness in films and media I've always latched onto. I remember like The Walking Dead, whenever anything was like horrible and you didn't know what was going to happen, but you knew there was no good outcome. I loved that. I'm one of the few people that loved the first time you meet Negan and he kills someone off camera on the finale, and you don't get to know who it was, but it was one of your favorite characters because it was only a line of your favorite characters, and it fades to black with just the sound of a bat hitting meat, and you know that meat is one of your favorite people, and I'm like, ooh, that's so gross and dark. I love it. I would say that in a combination with, in a lot of my inspiration, it doesn't overly drive what I do by any means or my creativity, but I definitely do pull from it a lot. But just on the subject of moods, Lord of the Rings, I love.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
Campfire moments are like my favorite thing. And that has really inspired a big part of my DM style of like long drawn out RP moments. Like we talked about Ace having to do that horrible mission in our last podcast, having to do that horrible mission, infiltrating the other gang and doing something just disgusting to innocent people. but like I didn't just do it, right? There was a lot of leading up to it and a lot of coming out of it and a lot of slow crawling narrative description on my end and then him interacting. So in like darker moments, it's really drawn out, but even in not darker moments, like there was a lot of times where just around the campfire at camp, me and Gray would just have long drawn out RP moments going over what's going on in the world and what the characters are thinking and things like that. I love that long, slow, drawn out. And I feel like that happens a lot in the Lord of the Rings.
Sure.
In the books and in the movies, to be fair. So I think I draw a lot of inspiration as far as my RP style from all of those gritty, dark, horrible things that I love, but then also from Lord of the Rings a lot, just as far as pacing of like just taking your time. I could think of like, it doesn't even serve much other than understanding the character, but to me, understanding the character is really important. And I know you guys are probably going to gloss over on this one, but when the hobbits and Aragorn are on Weathertop and Aragorn begins singing a song about an elven couple or whatever it was. And it was like long and it was drawn out, and then he explains the lore behind those songs, and the hobbits are fascinated, and you know, they're kind of getting to know and understand. Like, it's not necessarily super, you know, it's not a fast pace. It's not driving the story necessarily incredibly. But it does, you know, gives room and time to understand the people that you're with. And I love that Lord of the Rings does. I love campfire moments. I think campfire moments for me is heavily inspired by Tolkien.
Sure. I was never, I can't remember being that big of a fan of Lord of the Rings. I don't remember ever reading the books. I listened to a little bit of them from like an audiobook, but I don't remember ever finishing it. I watched the movies, but young enough, and also probably not that big of a fan of the genre at the time, where like, I don't really remember a lot of it.
Sure.
Most of my fascination with Tolkien and Lord of the Rings has been like literally like YouTube lore videos and wiki dives. I just go through like wiki dives of the story and like...
Shout out Tolkien Untangled. Great YouTube channel.
Oh,
goes really deep into lore. They're like hour-long videos where he talks about like singular events or singular characters. He goes really deep into it. And
I don't know any of the ones in particular I've watched, but...
He draws constantly on the text of Tolkien's letters and the Silmarillion and just the books in general, where he's like, well, we don't have factual evidence, but we do have is words from Tolkien himself on what he thought about blah, blah, blah. And then he'll put the text on screen and read it.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny is that I don't think I've ever finished like any of the audiobooks or reading Lord of the Rings. I have listened to the Silmarillion.
Really?
Yes.
That's interesting.
Just because, again, it's everyone,
you love world building. Like,
exactly.
You don't need the context of story.
Everyone I've heard and everybody who talks about it is like the Silmarillion is so much lore building, and it's so much of like just the world behind the Lord of the Rings. So that fascinated me way more than like the concept of the books and just how daunting the books are. Like it is just like, it's just a lot of time, dedication to like...
Yeah, but then don't set out to read the books, just start one.
Of course. It's just, again, it's one of those things where like I'll begin it and then all of a sudden I'm starting to do something else and I forget that I got to keep up doing this thing because I'm only listening an hour or two at a time, and then like something else comes up that night and then something else. But but before going too far in that, going back to the...
I could bring it back.
Yeah, going back to the mood thing. It's funny how like our baseline, like my baseline, like mood and what I like, how we're so opposite, because I grew up on like, at least the biggest inspiration I could imagine of
Power
like,
Rangers.
Dragon Ball Z, essentially. Power Rangers. It's Dragon Ball Z. It's Goku is like the naive but good-hearted hero who is like dumb in many ways and also extraordinarily dangerous in a ton of different ways, where he just lets people get stronger so that he just have a better fight at the risk of the whole world going, like getting set on fire. But generally described his character as like this good-hearted, good-natured person who wants the best for everyone around him, and he just wants people to become better. And it's like this like good mood, and there are like bad parts, but it's just all like, I like the hero story. I like that, like the idea of like persevering through difficult obstacles and
I mean,
But,
you
like,
get so much of that from Tolkien as well.
Of
That's why I
course.
said, like, there's
Of
actually
course.
a lot of what you love that I think you would find love in
I'm
the
not
Lord
saying
of the Rings.
I'm not saying that I wouldn't like now if I was to give
Yeah.
them a shot. I wouldn't like Tolkien stuff. But like my just going back to like the like negative gritty and
Sure.
the bleak outlook.
Oh, that
stories.
we are night and day on, yeah.
Yeah, because
You've mentioned it during our games where you're like, I'm having a good time playing in your game, but also I'm not into it being just so dark and gritty the whole time. Meanwhile, fucking Gray's over there just cheesing himself, just like, I love it.
it's
Ruin us more.
I've said this to our friend group. I don't know if I've said this on podcast before, but like one of my favorite movies is The Goodfellas. It's awesome. I love it. But when I rewatch it, like 90% of the time, I watch through the movie, and then when his life begins to fall apart, when he becomes like addicted to cocaine and like the
good part of the film.
the I forgot his name, not Tommy, the other guy, like the Irish, when he starts like killing everyone that's involved in the heist. A lot of the times I stop watching the movie. I just change away to something else. I was like, we're out of the gangster having a great life. Get me out of this. I don't want this. Everything's falling apart. His life is becoming miserable.
You're so soft, bro.
It's funny because that's when I get really interested.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, he's done all these things. He's done great stuff. He's doing good, and now everything's falling apart because of his own actions. It's like, I love that part.
Yeah.
That's my favorite. That's the climax of the movie, and it keeps climaxing up until the end there.
Yeah,
when Joe Pesci's like, oh no.
Yeah, it is the reason why I love the movie, is all of that, what you said. It's the entirety of the story, is the downfall of everything. It's what makes the movie great, is that you have this huge high and then it all falls apart. And it's all consequences of his actions and like him ratting out everything. But that doesn't mean when I'm just trying to have a good time at home, that I'm just like,
so soft.
I don't need to see this.
It's so soft.
Oh, movie's over. And they left happy ever after.
Yeah. He was a happy gangster for the rest of his
He
life.
became a good
Talking
fella.
about both gritty and consequences, I definitely, probably more so again in mood than anything else, but I loved like earlier Game of Thrones where like your favorite characters make decisions and the decisions feel like good decisions.
Yeah, they do the right things.
And then they get killed for it
they
or
get bad
betrayed
outcomes,
for
yeah.
it or they get their head cut off for it. And it's like, oh, this is the hero.
Yeah.
You do the hero's story and then you turn around and fuck the hero. And it's like, oh, that's so gross. I love it.
I mean, it's
Delicious.
Yeah, as I've gotten
consequences.
older, and just kind of just my taste in general. Yeah. When those first like 5 seasons of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Wonderful, great. When Ned is this righteous, like
A great character.
like righteous guy who's just trying to do the right thing for his family and for himself.
A
and for
good
the
dad,
kingdom.
a good leader,
has a strong
good
code of honor that he's
representative.
following to the T.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
And then he gets beheaded for it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And then every other
And it
character-
throws the kingdom into dismay as well.
Yeah, and every other every other fucking season, there's like great characters who are like these strong characters, and it is the conniving or it is the like
Who get ahead?
the like the people who are willing to just undercut and just stab
Yeah.
people in the back. It's like, yeah,
Oh, people with honor, easy to manipulate.
it's like, yeah, man, that happens.
Yep. Yeah, I love it. So again, like not necessarily directly does Game of Thrones inspire me, but like in moods and themes, I think it definitely does.
I think at this point, if I was to write a story, but it's also like, I also like I'm inspired by the interpersonal dynamics of Game of Thrones. If I was to write something that had that level of like of interplay, I would definitely like Game of Thrones would be something I would think about like how a magistrate would behave behind the back of his king and all that stuff. But like I also would draw inspiration from what Game of Thrones was inspired by, which is like the War of the Roses in Europe.
Sure.
So it's like, oh, like, yeah. So like I would Game of Thrones, but also I would look at like, oh, what was Game of Thrones inspired by?
Oh,
so
of course.
Let's look into that.
I mean, oftentimes I just make my own stupid ideas and I'm just constantly reacting to what players are doing. Like, I don't know, okay, so hold on. First, on the topic of Tolkien, I I think I do inherently look at elves through the eyes of Lord of the Rings, where they're like slow and methodical and very proud, very beautiful, and also like artisans through everything they do. Like when I think of like the elven training trait in D&D of like, that's why you get to know how to use weapons. And it's like, yeah, I imagine they looked at it as like over the course of their long life, looked at martial arts as arts, as an art form instead of just this tool of war. But in everything they do, in the way they enchant things and blah, 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 blah. And then also, I would say inspiration I draw from elves is colonial England. Sometimes in my worlds, elves are the bad guys, and they are still proud. They are still methodical.
Sure.
They are still beautiful, but they are also like kind of high and mighty. And that leads to them becoming like an oppressive force. I have 2 different campaigns where the elves are the bad guys. The elven, one of them is an elven empire. One of them is an elven kingdom. The elven kingdom one there was a war where the elven kingdom spread throughout the land, won the war, and now just oppressively occupies those towns and cities and whatnot. And it's like the only place where I don't have diversity in my game is like, oh yeah, those guys are pretty much all elves. That group, all elves. And they're all assholes.
That's funny. I mean, my inspiration for like fantasy creatures, again, because I didn't grow up with Tolkien. I didn't grow up with like, I didn't discover, quote unquote, or like even started to really like be into Tolkien. So after I like met you guys, after I met Sov and his family, and that was in high school for me. So like my inspirations from like elementary school to middle school, and then even still in high school, a lot of that, like what I thought of about fantasy creatures and like that world all came from Magic the Gathering.
Oh, sure.
So like my ideas of what goblins look like and are like the flavor text from cards and those, and like the thing with Magic the Gathering is like every single set is usually set in like a different world. Yeah. So like everything is always a little different. Yeah. So there never is like a set idea for how
there's so
any of
much
these,
cool
like,
lore to draw on from Magic the Gathering.
And like how, like again, it's just like, oh, I like goblins were like this in this world, and they're also like this in this world, and they're like this in this world. So it's never consistent. There isn't like when I think of elves, they are this version of them. I have like layers of like different ways to think about them.
My orcs are often just pulled from Skyrim. They're just tribal peoples, you know. Sometimes nomadic, sometimes little villages, just tribal peoples. Definitely not Tolkien inherently evil and hatred and whatnot driving them as they serve the Dark Lord. Those aren't mine. Mine are just like, these are just green guys that live in the woods.
No, they serve Molag Bal.
What's that?
They serve Molag Bal.
In Skyrim?
Yeah.
I don't recall. It's been so long since I've played it.
He's pretty much he's like one of the evil Daedra gods.
Okay.
I always love,
but they like often they're just little like small societies, small little villages of
it's
tribal
very interesting
peoples.
How they're depicted, because my first introduction to Elder Scrolls was Oblivion, and orcs are just like everybody else, really. Like the most quirky people in that game were the Dark Elves, but not by much. Yeah,
even in Skyrim, that's true. Like everybody's just kind of like you could see any one of the races
they're all
in any city
in a different container.
Yeah, and then you run across Dark Elves and you're like, oh, these are actually like unique and assholes. But
I think the Wood Elves are about cannibalism, and the Dark Elves are about necrophilia and witchcraft. So
necrophilia or necromancy?
Both.
I mean, if you're gonna do one, it leads to the other.
If you're gonna do one,
but also it's funny because like the majority of my Tolkien experience is from the movie, but like I just remember that one scene where like all the orcs are like underground or something, and they're getting like armored. Like, and so like in my mind, I built the picture off of like, to me that's not like a dumb society. That's like they're preparing for war.
Oh, not necessarily dumb. They are just inherently evil.
Oh, okay.
They have been all of them corrupted.
Oh yeah, they're like from some like evil god or something, right? Something like that.
No, they're elves that the Dark Lord corrupted. So the Dark Lord can't.
Yeah.
Sauron can't make life, but he can corrupt it with darkness.
Yes,
and so he corrupted the souls of elves, and then later they corrupted humans as well to make them orcs, or bred humans with orcs and to make Uruks.
Yeah.
But yeah, they are just corrupted. Mostly elves, corrupted elves.
I always like that scene. Always.
Oh, it's so good. Oh, I mean, I like the orcs from Lord of the Rings. I just want them to also be people in my worlds, and they can't be people if they are inherently evil and filled with hatred to the point of killing everything on sight.
Yeah.
Including each other.
I think one of my favorite, like one of my favorite things from Magic the Gathering is my depiction and my idea, if I was to create like a goblin, is not like the classic version of like the like wild animal kind of goblin. Is more of like an engineer goblin. Like
Warcraft.
Like Warcraft goblins, where they build shit, they make things, and sometimes they're crazy contraptions that just cost the lives of goblins.
Warcraft.
Yeah. Because that's Magic the Gathering too, where it's just like, yeah, they made a flying machine and it works and it does a great thing and it blows up, but it also takes out the pilot. It's like there's a lot of engineering in that.
I think I have this misguided thing where like I think of most fantasy creatures as just fake creatures. All of them.
Yeah.
All of them are just fake creatures. Like orcs are just tribal people that live in the woods. Goblins are just woodland creatures. Tabaxi are just woodland creatures. Wood elves are woodland creatures. Everything's just a woodland creature in my mind.
That's funny.
It's the only biome I care about. I think that's why. Where it's like, there's cities and there's woods. If you ever play in one of my games and you decide to play a ranger, just default to woods as your favorite environment. Because
there's gonna be a lot of woods.
Chances are I'm not going to think about mountains. I'm not going to think about deserts.
The green woods over here. We got the gray woods over there. We got the regular woods over off that side there.
Like I was thinking about one of my worlds, and I was like, well, there's swamplands. Yeah, but still, they're wooded swamplands.
We call those muddy woods.
Yeah, mud woods.
There's mud woods. Yeah, I like grasslands as well a lot.
Like the grassy woods, like
the grassy woods,
the hot, dry woods.
There are no trees in these woods. It's just hot, dry sand, but it's still the hot, dry woods.
Love it.
Yeah, I mean, then like. When we started doing like the Realm Watcher games, which is like just a series of one shots, kind of like somewhat stitched together into like a kind of a unified through line that we were constantly building the lore of as we would play the game. A lot of that was like SCP Foundation.
Yeah, I know you love SCP.
When I found that during COVID, like I found SCP Foundation and like a lot of that kind of storytelling.
Sure.
That definitely also. With your storytelling, with Sov's storytelling on top of that, and even a little bit of Gray's, where it's like, starting to get into that more dark and bleak and like, this is just kind of a Call of Cthulhu thing, where it's like you're an observer.
Well, Realm Watchers in general is also relatively inspired by The Witcher.
Yeah,
just the style of it's inspired by one episode of the show, which was. The way I wanted Realm Watchers to run when I originally pitched it to you guys, which is like, hey, what if there's just a formula to this campaign of one-shots where like you get to a place, you investigate, you prepare for the battle, and then you do the battle. And that's how one episode of the first season of The Witcher was like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is just the perfect way to run a Westwards March campaign.
I've always heard good things about The Witcher, but I've never played the games or watched the show.
For me, like, there's no merit to playing any game on easy, and then playing on a reasonable difficulty. It's just too much reading for me in The Witcher. I played The Witcher 3, and it was like I got to a creature, and then there was like a pop up, and it was like you gotta address your Witcher book to know how to fight this creature, and then you had to like learn its like moves and how it attacks and how it hurts you and what you can do in response and blah blah blah. And it's like this whole fucking page of text, and I was like, all right, and I read through it, and then I fought the creature and won, and then I got to another creature and another fucking book popped up on my screen, and I was like, oh. All right. I hope this isn't a common thing. Like maybe it's because it's like the earlier part of the games. So I did it, read through it, fought the creature, got to a third one, and another book popped up, and I was like, I'm not fucking reading that. So I didn't read the book, and then got annihilated in the fight, and I was like, yeah, that's too much reading.
That's Realm Watchers.
Yeah.
Except instead of reading books,
instead
the
of
DM
reading,
tells
you role play and investigate and
the
find
DM
clues.
tells you what would be in the book instead.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Well, you play through what would be in the book instead, which is way more interesting to me. If I had to play through it, if it was like Realm Watchers where I had to go and discover the markings.
Oh yeah, I think the difference is that in Realm Watchers, the creatures are all new.
I'll tell you the fucking difference is you never handed me a document to read.
Well, I could.
And I wouldn't do it, and I would happily lose.
And in The Witcher, Geralt already knows what the creatures are. He just has to figure out what it is.
He already knows. And again, that might just be early campaign stuff, to be fair. But yeah, for me, it was just like, it was a beautiful world, a beautiful story, awesome creatures. I just didn't want to read. And then reading became important. And my choices were, do I read or do I put the game on easy? And I thought both of those sounded awful.
I mean, even like taking inspiration from games too is like a little bit of from Gray, but also like Elden Ring was doing dynamic battles where like the creature would hit, like you do a certain amount of sustained damage to it, and all of a sudden its moveset changes, or like the way that it's fighting you changes. And I did that a lot in our Elden Ring games, in our Realm Watcher games, which is like there'd be points in the combat where if you did enough damage, the creature would start changing some of its tactics, or like it had a different ability, a different moveset that would open up. And like, I know Gray did that a lot, and I liked it. And then, you know, it's like, yeah, this is like cool. This is a fun thing to do for a game like that. Or even I would take that into even like if I was to do like a mini campaign or a long form campaign.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I would love to have creatures that have that, like it's not just a single stat block. The single stat block has like routes that you can do with the stat block, like depending on what happens to the creature. Like, like if I had the time to really build out something, like every single time that the players were going to fight something and be like, yeah, you know, they do enough damage to this part of the body, almost like fucking Monster Hunter. They do enough damage to this part of the body, and it like this part comes off.
It breaks, or a tail comes off.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden it changes. It like does this other thing.
It is a really fun way to do creatures.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think for me, Realm Watchers, a lot of my inspiration came from just horror films. Yeah, not really any horror games, I don't think, but horror films. A lot of my Realm Watchers were just creepy, and like I remember one of them was inspired by Silent Hill. One of them I don't remember the inspiration for, but it was like a haunted house thing. I think I had 2 haunted houses actually. I
don't remember the one.
I think you weren't there for that one.
I definitely remember
it was me and Jack.
Yeah. I don't really remember what that one was, to be honest.
There were some gargoyles out front, and then there was like a little mini house in the basement.
Oh yeah, that was neat. Yeah, where you got like trapped. The gargoyles outside were the bad guys, right? Or they were the things you had to fight. But they were just like statues as you entered in, and you could have gotten clues, but you guys failed it. And then you get into the house, and then inspired by Pitch Black, the movie Pitch Black, they get like down into the basement, and there's like a little replica of the house. And then they did something, I don't remember what it was. Oh, there was also like the sun and the moon floating around it, and like you had to manually move it. And then if you move it to nighttime instead of daytime, then you get like all of a sudden the replica starts moving, and the gargoyles start moving, and the doors lock, and the gargoyles move into the house and start moving in. And as they're like figuring this out, and like the gargoyles start moving, they start hearing sounds from upstairs, and they're like, "Oh, like that's not like a clue. That's the gargoyle actually approaching us." Yeah, that was fun. That was just a very loose inspiration of Pitch Black. In Pitch Black, they find a little replica of like the planet system, and then there's like two suns and they're floating around, but then there's an eclipse, and it eclipses both suns, and it lasts for like a year or something like that. And they're like, "Oh, all of those creatures that exist in the dark that we found earlier, the whole planet's going to be dark soon.
Yeah.
We got to get the fuck off this planet." That was my inspiration for that one. Most things I do, I don't even think have inspiration, or none that I could latch onto. Nothing solid.
Oh, I used to search Reddit forums for fantasy art. And as I was scrolling through like Reddit for fantasy art, I would come across a picture. And if I liked the picture, I would then build an entire story for the one shot around the single picture.
That's a cool way to do it.
So like I had like, there was one where it was like a swamp village. So I made a story that had to do with something with the swamp village. I don't remember the full context of everything. I think one of the fun ones for me was there was an image of like this small, like rundown village and all these characters in mask, and like, it was like just like a weird vibe to it. And I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, what can I build off of this? Like, oh, what if the people in masks aren't actually people? What if they're like marionette people? Because it looked like in this image, it looked like these people in masks in these different like stalls in this alleyway were like selling things.
Yeah.
Like looked like selling crafts. I was like, okay, so what if they're just like these weird captured souls in these marionettes, but if you come across this village, they don't necessarily want to give away that that's what they are. So they hide their faces and they hide their body. So in your mission, you were walking through this village, and it was like part of finding out what was going on was like, oh yeah, eventually you'd find out these are marionette people. There's like singular guy that like is up in the village that's making these marionette peoples from lost souls, and like giving them a second chance at life by like putting their souls into these bodies and like creating a village around it. And like the creature had almost like nothing to do with it. Like the creature was like outside of that town. And, like, you had to go and fight it. This place had clues, but it was just like.
Also, I think the reason why you only brought that up was because the next Realm Watcher you wanted to bring in was one of the marionette creatures. Yeah. So only you were just like, follow this red herring. Well, anyways, here's some cool lore. Well, so my next guy,
it was that guy. It's funny because it's like that story was this weird panther creature or whatever. Yeah. That was its own through line. It was like this like abomination that this one scientist was making a bunch of different abominations, and like my through line in Realm Watchers was finding these different creatures that all had the same connection, and then the last mission would be finding that guy. But I was like, oh, what could make this cool? I was like, what if there's this like weird this little village that they can come across? And like, and then that image was like, okay, that's like the creature and the investigation and the fight had like very little to do with this village. I made this village, all that lore, and I was like, I want one of those guys now. Yeah. Like, I want a marionette guy. He like our Realm Watchers found them.
Oh, that's the one that you took into the Silent Hill mission.
Yeah.
It was like the next mission was the Silent Hill mission that you took your little marionette guy in.
I was like, yeah, man, these guys were cool. I like these guys, and they had in that village they had Realm Watchers walk through. And one of the marionette people was like, "Oh, those guys are cool. I like what they're trying to do. Like, let me join them." And then he became a Realm Watcher. And then,
I think there was another mission where Shadowpaw, all his friends died. Poor Shadowpaw.
Oh man. Also, like the SCP and like Call of Cthulhu and like Eldritch horror stuff. I played a lot into that too, with like the H.P. Lovecraft stuff, where like. I forgot which story it was. It was one of them. One of the ones where I think was it Blacktail or what was your Shadowpaw.
The samurai one?
The samurai one, yeah, where he was fighting one of my creatures, and Gray's character I think Shadowpaw killed Gray's character to make
so Gray's character was already on death saves, and I had so little HP that we were going to lose the fight anyways. So yeah, I critically failed Gray's death saves for him so that his conduit could go off, because that's an insta-kill.
Yeah, it was essentially like it's the bag of holding into a bag of holding, like
Yeah.
warping reality out, whatever. But like that creature, part of what when it came through was like it opened a gate and you could see into this like other dimension of like crazy shit. And this avatar of the thing came into this world, and then you guys fought it, and this whole. But it was like it's those little flashes of something of just like opening a gate, and you see into nonsense.
Yeah,
and like. I did that again.
I do remember that.
I did that again in another thing with Gray and Jack, where they went to this village and they crossed this like well, and they went into one of these other worlds, into one of these other nonsense worlds, where like they didn't necessarily. I think I did a poor job of like setting up the thing to do and how the characters communicated. So like Sov and Jack just kind of tried to wait it out.
Oh, this was the castle.
Yeah, and so like in their attempt to wait it out,
That was Howl's Moving Castle, right? Was the
no,
inspiration?
that was a different one.
Oh,
But that was also fun. But this was the one where you guys just started waiting long enough, and like I began to warp your guys' bodies.
oh, I do remember.
Yeah,
that.
I started create like making them have more arms. And
It turns out
eyes
waiting and being methodical is a bad thing in Nix's games.
You also have like a time limit thing on some of them.
Yeah, I like that. I like kind of like I think in retrospect, I think I would make it a little bit more obvious, because I think at that time, especially for that one, I made it like really like you kind of had to figure it out, and it was hard to figure.
Oh, we
out.
didn't see ourselves being morphed either.
Yeah. And it was like a weird thing where like I was almost as a DM, I wanted them to get morphed more than like it was something to figure out.
Yeah.
So it's like, of course, in retrospect, it would definitely change that. But I like putting pressure on the players, but you have to put the pressure. If they don't know there's pressure on them,
Yeah.
it's like, well, why are you applying pressure then? Like, why do you in the subtext?
Well, also like, you arrive at this town. What are you doing? You drink. We want to go to the tavern. Okay. So what are you doing? We're gonna drink in the tavern until night comes. Okay. You drink in the tavern until night comes. Your body's morphed because you spent too long inside of the tavern bubble. And it's like, what? There were no hints, no clues. Why would we think sitting in a tavern is a bad thing? You know what I mean? Like, you can't just jump to the end there, brother.
I know.
But also, it was Realm Watchers, and it was a home table, and we're friends, and none of us cared.
Of course.
And we knew, also, it was Realm Watchers, so like we knew our characters were at the risk of a dead PC every game. So like, there weren't enough clues. Who cares?
Yeah. I mean,
It's just a watcher. Now I get to make another.
But I mean, again, it's also like one of the great things about the whole Realm Watcher setup was just like, it was. I learned like, oh, okay, that's.
Oh, I learned so much about
like,
the.
I can't give my players, a thing that's going to give them consequences, without giving any clues that it's giving them consequences.
So that's actually that's actually a good topic. But before we jump into it, let's jump into our sponsors.
Yeah, let's do it.
I have a topic that I want to bring up afterwards.
Yeah, 1 second. Let me just reach over as I go and play this music.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Come on, everybody. Let's get hyped.
Let's go and roll
Yeah.
on the loot table. Let's go and see
Let's
who
do
our
it, everybody.
sponsors will be.
Come on. Let's go.
Let's go roll on the loot table.
All right. Today's sponsor is 12 Baxi Dash. Picture this. You and your adventuring party are in the woods. It's dark. There's no sound. And out of nowhere, you are come upon by an owl bear. Well, you are not high enough level for an owl bear. And you are also not a particularly fast creature. What should you do? What is there to do? Well, you reach into your bag and you pull out Baxi Dash, a nice fresh can of energy potion to drink so that you, oh my God, that's perfect timing. So that you could do the only thing that there is to do in a situation when being run down by an owl bear. Be faster than your friends. Is that the only use for it? Of course not. You're a wizard, learning in a wizard school, studying for your dysentery or whatever the fuck test.
Dysentery?
Yeah, you study for a dysentery, right? I know things about education. Doing your dysentery. Studying for your final project. But you have 3 points of exhaustion. You You are beyond tired, and you still have another 2 wizarding books to read through. On top of that, your level 20 master wizard has given you their spell book, and that thing is fat. How on earth are you going to stay up? A Baxi Dash? That won't be enough. Try a Baxi double dash. Twice the caffeine, twice the potion to keep your energy up reading through the night, studying for that wizard dysentery.
Dissertation.
Dissertation?
Nope, no. In this world,
You
of
will
Baxi
get
Dash-
dysentery from Baxi Dash.
Yeah,
Definitely from double dash.
Hey, that's supposed to be this part that you say really fast.
Oh, okay. My bad.
Yeah, you did that part where like, oh, may cause dysentery, may cause slight heart palpitations.
Despite the clear health risks of Baxi products,
They are also very clear about the health risks. They are posted in very, very small text on their website,
yeah,
but they are very open about
and their
the-
website is down for maintenance half the time.
Yeah.
But that being said, if you need energy in a pinch, crack open a can of Baxi Dash. If you need double energy in a pinch, double dash.
Yeah.
And it will give you the essence of Tabaxi feline agility to get out of or into whatever you need to at speed.
Yeah. I mean, we all strive in moments of our life to get that Tabaxi kind of speed, that Tabaxi kind of energy to just do things. My favorite part about Double Dash, I don't know about you, but I like the taste of taurine. The good thing about Double Dash
Taurine.
is it's double the amount of taurine than the regular, and it's already almost clinically lethal levels in regular Baxi Dash. But they, knowing that you are the customer that knows what you want and that you will make the decision that you want as the customer, they are just making the product available. So you take your own risk when you buy the product. Baxi Double Dash will get you all the taurine you want.
Well, for me personally, chasing my Goliath wife around my keep with my small Japanese business gnome legs is just not enough for me to be able to keep up with her. I need that double dash in my life.
Oh, yeah. Everyone could use a little bit of Double Dash in their life.
I miss when Gray wrote them, to be honest.
You did a good job. That was not bad. It was not terrible.
All taurine ethically sourced from local stallion centaur.
Is that where taurine comes from?
I assume so. Has taurine in the name.
Obviously. So, inspiration.
I also just wanted the Red Bull, by the way. I did not plan that.
Yeah. Oh, no, it was
100%. I
so
thought you
good.
were like,
The timing. Well, I think it was the moment that I said a can of Baxi Dash.
I was thinking
and then
of
you were like,
I'm
oh,
like,
a
I
can?
want to open this, but I don't want to open it on the mic. And then he said, oh, pop open a can.
that was great. That was great.
That was great timing. Inspirations. Oftentimes, I find inspiration from games that I've played.
Yeah.
We've talked a lot about Realm Watchers, and I definitely pull Realm Watcher-esque missions into my games. But another one I wanted to talk about, because like it could just be being put on the spot, but I can't think of why I love it so much. But I love dealing with cities and city drama and city politics and city mysteries and things of that nature.
Sure.
And I think the only thing I can think of is like that initial city you threw us in the first D&D game that we played in. I don't know where you got inspiration from, but I do that all the time. So much of my games take place in cities, and I can't think of a medium really that dealt with that a lot, because like, you know, maybe Skyrim, but Skyrim cities were so barren and boring. All of Skyrim is boring and barren. Like, there's barely anything going on in Skyrim if you don't play with mods.
Yeah.
You can talk to everybody in any of the cities in like an hour and find out everything that's going on in that city. So I don't know where that comes from, but I do that so often.
Yeah.
And the only place that I can remember ever having anything similar to that experience, which I use over and over again, is that initial city that you put us in that first campaign we played.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was, from what I believe at the time, there's some of the dynamics of like Game of Thrones, like I talked about earlier, where like you have the different like the interlacing of like geopolitics, or not even geopolitics, of like
Sure.
like city politics and like levels of
What
this.
generally is like
this
geopolitics
person-
though in Game of Thrones? It's often not that heavy city politics.
No, sorry, but there is in terms of like the high priest is the one that's conniving or getting information from his little like the street rats, and then you have the what's his face having his little birds like in the city. They're also listening.
Yeah.
So there is some of that, but a lot of it came from at the time I was really trying to develop a card game like that had I was trying to do different like human societies.
Fuck me, I remember you talking about a card game so long ago.
Yeah,
it's like 6 years ago now.
It was a long time ago. But it was like essentially trying to structure different human organizations and how different like societies were formed, and then like, oh, so like this particular group, this set of like in Magic the Gathering, this color, if it was like the green color or the red color, usually that's based around that kind of magic.
Yeah.
I wanted to have those delineations being like this kind of society. So this kind of society was a theocracy.
Yeah.
This kind of society was a republic.
Oh, I do that too. Whenever I'm world building, I try to like think of like what makes this city unique or different.
Yeah.
What type of government does it have? What type of architecture does it have?
And then in that process, it's like discovering that like, oh, I could have a council of people. It could be a triumvirate. So like that first city was a triumvirate. It was 3 people that were essentially the head of that city. And so like all trying to like just dive into human history and human dynamics of like the different ways that people would talk to each other. And then it's again, trying to add that like Game of Thrones level of like people conniving against each other.
Sure.
And like my own obsession with creating as deep rooted lore as I can, which is like, oh, where do these people come from? Like how did this person attain his wealth? You're like, the first mission was just, you were stealing from a wealthy guy. Because it was a one shot, I built nothing around it. It was just a wealthy person. You went into his house, you stole a bunch of shit. And when we decided to turn it into a long form campaign, in my obsessions, it's like this money just can't come from nothing. Where does this money come from? How does this person acquire money? How is this person a noble? And so building all that history of like, oh, this person has a family that's connected to this thing, and that family is connected to these other families, but this guy is actually like our secret like traitor to the whole thing because he wants more power. So he's secretly connected to this other group of people that are trying to usurp the current ruler that's going on. And it's like, so trying to build these different layers, again, taking inspirations from so much media and just like, and also real world history, like historical events.
Yeah.
And then just like adding layers and just taking time just to sit down and be like, how do I add more layers? How do I make this more dynamic?
I'm sure I have a level of like that indirect of understanding how a city or a medieval city or a historic city would run, but it's all indirect for me. The only direct inspiration I can think of for having cities at all in my games is from when we played your campaign.
Yeah. I also was obsessed with like the History Channel when I was younger.
Yeah.
I would literally...
You're so soft.
I would watch like hours and hours of the History Channel when it was still about history.
Yeah.
Before it became the Pawn Stars channel.
Yeah.
When it would always talk about like Greek history and Roman history and like all these different things. It's like, I loved it.
Yeah.
And so like any opportunity I get to like, like if I could have it my way with any of these worlds or whatever, there'd be like et tu brute moments. There'd be like, there's constant political intrigue happening and the players would probably never know unless they decided to dive into it. I just have these little things playing in the background.
Oh, you should always.
Yeah, just because it's fun. It's fun for me.
I don't have that much playing in the background because it just feels like over prepping to me.
Yeah.
But I do have some things playing. Like I got like maybe 5 different players. Let me see. 1, 2, 4 different players, and then my player party.
Sure.
Who are building a guild happening in this city that like in my Saturday campaign.
Sure.
I like there's like 4 different players. Not all of them are adversarial, but some of them are.
Yeah.
Going on. But yeah, are there any games that you've played in, I'll turn it over to Gray, that have kind of changed or inspired things that you've done in your campaigns?
Other than the ones you mentioned, like the...
I know you've taken Realm Watchers into your world, right?
I did take Realm Watchers into my current fantasy world because it kind of just fit with what another organization was.
Sure.
Like their whole purpose was like in Realm Watchers, the purpose of Realm Watchers was to protect humankind or civilized kind. Air
It's
quotes.
the preservation of civilization.
Yeah, from
It's kind of
creatures that are monstrous.
Yeah.
And just like to destroy shit.
Yeah. That's the main goal. It's like, hey, here's a thing that if left unchecked will potentially destroy society in some way.
Yeah. In my universe, it kind of jived with the organization of the Black Reach, and their job is to just preserve the general order of things.
Mm-hmm.
So like if someone or something is tilting politics or development in a scale that might throw the world into chaos because of everyone lives on a very like thin veneer of friendship
Sure.
amongst the human civilizations. Like, yeah, your job is to go over there and kill this thing.
Yeah.
Or your job is to go over there and sabotage this deal. Your job is to go over there and be the big bad for a little bit.
I think very easily, not to the full extent of like we created Realm Watchers to be, but like that idea is very like adaptable.
Yeah, I made it so that politics was allowed.
Yes.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I made it so politics was allowed in my version of Realm Watchers, but it's a very specific thing to the world that I play in.
Yeah, it's adapted.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else that you can think of that you've like played in? Like, is there anything from a TTRPG perspective that has kind of inspired or changed things you've done?
I mean, you've talked about like Koibu before.
Yeah, but I never really played Koibu games, right?
No,
I watched Koibu.
Yeah.
And he sort of inspired me to have that more gritty consequences
Sure.
sort of deal where like, a wizard leaves a magical portal open and then his entire country is invaded by otherworldly creatures from the shadow plane.
I mean, at some point I was going to talk about like Critical Role and like how they inspired a lot of my initial like stuff with D&D, but like, it's just...
And then I think the Delta Green games that I played in too also kind of inspired that sort of more you're a fragile creature, don't go poking your nose into things that you're not prepared to deal with, or else you're gonna die. I really like that.
Having baddies in your world, even in a fantasy setting, that are familiar to Delta Green structure, where it's like, hey, you're not supposed to be here. You're not supposed to be dealing with this. You will lose.
Yeah, this thing rolls a base 2d12 plus 5 every time it attacks. Do you really want to go poke it? That's kind of like my deal.
Yeah.
I got that from Delta Green.
That's cool. I get that. I will say, before you get fully into Critical Role, just to wax over Matt Mercer for a moment, I definitely am not the same style DM as him. I'm not. We're not talking about quality at all at the moment.
Sure.
Because like, he's the golden child. But even style, I have a very different style of DMing. But I did start watching the Age of Umbra.
Yeah,
the Age of Umbra thing, and I did notice one thing that he does as a DM that immediately I'm trying to start doing a little bit. And it was in like the first session, and this is not an actual recap so that it won't be a spoiler, but basically he's like, cool, so you guys have to do this task at this cave over here on this other part of the map. How are you guys going to do that? And they all talk about how they're going to do it, and it's all RP, it's drawn out, it's a whole conversation that they're doing. He immediately saw when the conversation was like, okay, they kind of got to a good point, and he's like, okay, so you guys have a plan, and you guys, it doesn't take you long for the elders of the town or whatever to agree to send you to do this mission. As you step out of the castle walls for the first time, the safety of the walls, you immediately feel the world outside the castle walls and the lack of safety, that veil of safety being ripped from you as you enter into the dark woods. And then you traverse the dark woods with the creepy, ominous feeling of the lack of sound of creatures in the woods You are here alone with whatever else might be out here until eventually you arrive at the mouth of the cave. And I was like, holy fuck, he just skipped like 3 sessions that I would have played through. But not even that I would have wanted to play through, just of my habit of every time be like, cool, you guys are having your meeting. Your meeting concludes. What are you guys doing? Okay, you're going to wait for blah, blah, blah. What are you doing while you wait for approval? Okay, so you do that. You get the approval. How are you going to start this mission? Okay, so you guys are setting out. You leave the castle walls. I'll give the description of how you're leaving the safety and everything, blah, 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 as you step out of the castle walls and into these dark woods. And I'll describe the dark woods. As you enter into the dark woods, what are you doing? You go through the dark woods. I will give little synopsis of like important moments. And then if anybody interrupts me, I'll allow you to play through those creepy moments to really hit those tones as you continue to travel through the dark woods. How long does it take you to find this cave as you exit the dark wood? Like, there's like 3 sessions that he just passed over with beautiful narrative. And I was like, I got to start taking agency away from my players and just pushing them onto a task. Because like, I love my campaigns. I love the deep RP. My players love the deep RP. In fact, I was joking with my brother about this, where it's like, oftentimes my players will be like, yeah, we love your campaign. We love how deep the RP is and everything like that. But like, sometimes I feel like we talk too much, and then the campaign doesn't move fast enough because we are doing these things. And like, I have my players blaming themselves for all of these things. And I get it. They are the ones yapping away, but I never take that agency away from them in order to cull the pacing of the story.
To get them to a place where something is happening.
I started doing it, and it's easy, and no one even noticed. No one's even fucking noticed, meaning that would have been a waste of time. And that those sessions that we would have played through to get to the mouth of the cave didn't need to happen, and they're here now, and good.
I mean, and another thing that Matt does, you part of your your quick version of what he said is just like, he's not afraid of, and I know a lot of people do this, but he's not afraid of interjecting like that meta information. Yeah, where it's like, no, you're scared of this.
Oh, I mean, I do that all the time.
Your character, when they see this thing, you will become frightened. Instead of describing it as a frightening thing, where like in your description of the thing,
don't describe a thing as scary. Describe a thing as scaring your player.
Yes. Yeah. It's like, I can describe this thing as being fanged and winged, and like its anatomy is unworldly thing, but like, if I don't describe that, the player, like, you guys get this sense of wrongness.
I do that all the time,
looking at this creature's body and its entangling flesh, and it's like, oh, that adds so much more when you put it on the character.
Oh, it adds so much, and like, I get that it's taking away agency or whatever, but like, there's certain levels of taking away agency that I think are really good, and I love that one. I use that I used it last night. My party was in a fight with a demon, and the demon had like charm abilities and failed to get one of the player characters. So this is on a failed mechanic, right? At the end, after they beat the demon before releasing them back into the what are you doing of, D&D play, I went to that character and I was like, Gray, as you see this beast or whatever slain in front of you, you still have that haunting feeling when it tugged at your mind, knowing that your mind was being pulled away from you, a feeling you've never had before that makes you deeply uncomfortable. Now what are you guys doing? And I got really cool roleplay out of doing that. I love doing shit like that. I think that's great. But it was just funny watching it and watching someone else without any intentions. I was just watching for fun and just seeing them do that. And I was like, holy shit. Yeah. You just skipped so much unimportant play that would have happened in any of my games.
I think like the bad takeaway from Matt, because I think there's a ton of stuff that are like great. They're brilliant things that he does.
Too handsome.
That's the worst thing is he's too well dressed and too handsome. No,
fucking elves.
The thing that people often make fun of him for is the like overemphasis on like dynamic and creative voices and like sound effects, where like I've seen stuff like that with like XP to level 3 where he'll do
that's
things where,
different.
Like,
That's
well,
it's
you
not
open the
hating
door.
on Matt. It's just saying that like it's not hating on
nails.
Matt.
like all the noises that he does.
I've never heard that as an actual complaint
No,
because the
no.
only one that I know of is XP to level 3 that does that, and it's clearly an ingest. Like,
Of course.
hey,
I'm not.
Nix doesn't need to do that.
No, yeah.
You don't need to do
Of
all of
course.
those
Yeah,
sound
yeah,
effects.
yeah.
Also, you're not a voice actor, and you're probably not good at them.
Of course. I don't mean like people writing hate threads about it. I'm saying that like this is the thing where
This is the way he presented it.
but where people mock the idea, like XP level
Yeah.
3, where like people who look at Matt as an inspiration,
Yeah,
try to follow these steps.
yeah.
What I was getting at is like you don't need to do that part, like that part of the like.
No,
Like
yeah.
you can if you want to explore that, but also like it's unnecessary. It's a really cool thing that he does.
Well, that's also just like finding your own style. Like I said, my style is, in my opinion, completely different than
Sure.
than Matt's style. But there are definitely things that I do appreciate and do. I'm not a huge watcher of Critical Role. Not because it isn't good by any means. I think it's amazing. I think they have a great table and an amazing DM. Just time. Yeah, that's so long.
Oh, I mean, I only really watched the first 2 seasons.
Yeah.
I think it was mostly because, again, I think that was around COVID times.
Yeah.
And so I had the free time to watch a lot of that stuff. And as soon as season 3 happened, it was for me, it was a little bit of a rough start because some of my favorite characters weren't like actively part of the game when season 3 started. Like Travis William, like he wasn't really,
Players.
like the players. Yeah. He wasn't
Yeah.
really a big part of like the first
Sure.
like month or 2 months of the game. So I was like, so like some of the stuff was like, I like the dynamic of these characters. And it's like,
Sure.
and even the characters they were playing, like I wasn't too crazy like about how a lot of it started. And I was like, all right, it's fine. And I never kept up with season 3. And so I was like, I never watched it.
For me, it's just a time thing. It's great. Like, I mean, I sat down to listen to Gray's playthroughs so many times, and I just don't have I get like halfway through, and then I'm like, okay, that's my night. And then it's like picking up halfway through a video. Doesn't really work out.
Yeah.
I love playing D&D. I love running D&D. I don't love watching or listening to D&D very much, but that's just me personally. A lot of people do. But yeah, just to wrap it all back, yeah, that heavily inspired me. Seeing him in just 1 minute avoid what would have been like 3 sessions in one of my game, I was like, that's beautiful. I need to start doing that.
And also, again, still speaking about like inspirations and things to take away as like a lesson learned. Again, for me was I don't need to make sound effects for everything. I don't need to overly describe everything, but also in a real world setting with your friends and with people that you know, 7 people at a table is too much.
Oh. I think the caveat would be, unless this is people that you very much trust coming together to put together what is understood to be a show. Unless you have that specific situation, 7 people is too much.
Oh yeah,
7 people is too much in play engine. I think 6 is too much.
Don't get me wrong. If I had 7 Grays and Sovs at a table, I think I would be
too
fine.
much.
I think it would be fine. I think 7 Grays and Sovs would know how to like do the thing to make it happen, to make the game work, the way to play that dynamic.
Yeah, but you see, the Sovs will all be trying to have little campfire moments and long dialogue.
Think about how much campfire you can have. Wait, hold on.
And then the
Hold on,
Greys
there's
are
a
gonna
really
be
big
trying to
important.
like split the party and make people go over here in like a Scooby-Doo moment.
Well, also like, all right, hold on. Before we continue talking about this, I need the clear scenario. So we said 7. So are there 4 Sovs or 4 Grays? It's an important question.
Ooh, what do I want more at a table?
I don't want to talk about this dynamically, so I just want that set for the rest of the conversation.
All right, gang, we're gonna split up. Gray and Sov, you going that way?
I don't know what I would want.
Let's just
more.
call it 8 players, and it's 4 and 4. You just have 4 Grays quietly sitting at the campfire while 4 Sovs, all of them are just RPing at each other.
Well, no. There's at least 2 of those 4 Sovs. 2 of them really want to just RP at the campfire. But 2 of those Sovs would be like, oh, Gray hasn't really said anything.
Oh, that's true.
And so they'll be the
and
ones
at
that
least
push
2 of the Grays would also be part of the conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we just have 6 Sovs and Grays sitting around the campfire while two Grays are just being quiet.
The best part of it will be, of course, in every combat, all 4 Grays would be standing in the most out in the open positions and taking almost no damage, as all of the sneaky Sovs that are at distance will be taking everything.
Yeah, but also all 4 of the Grays who have taken no damage will be whirling under 4s the whole time doing no damage.
That is the other wonder of that game, is statistically all those 4 Grays would be, everything is just under 10 rolls. And it just doesn't make any sense. They're all throwing their dice across the table. Yeah. They're all just jailing everything that they can.
Combat in that situation is basically just 4s. It's 4 Sovs, and you might as well write your combat lethality based on 4 Sovs. You're never going to hit Gray. Gray's never going to hit you.
That's the dynamic, that the weird vortex of reality that is around Gray, is Gray only rolls sub 10s, but also everything that targets him is also rolling sub 10s. It is just a sub 10 void.
And what inspires me about that... All right.
Yeah, we hit a good spot.
I'm good. I'm good on the topic. Everybody feeling all right?
Is there anything you want to talk about that we bulldoze right over you?
No, I think I got my inspirations out.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean, there's a longer list, but I don't want to be here all day.
Oh, same. I mean, we could talk about this. Is a topic of we could talk about.
Though, I will mention, out of all my fantasy stuff, I've never had, as much as I love it, I've never had inspiration drawn from Tolkien.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
I mean, mine is so loose. Like, I think mostly just the way, not even the way I play elves, just the way I view elves when writing them.
Mm-hmm.
And then like pacing. I think pacing I pull from Tolkien, and then my view on elves I pull from Tolkien. But other than that, not much. Oh, and then Tolkien's naming convention, specifically Elven naming convention. Anytime I need a name for anything in any game that I'm writing, I'm just like, what's a Tolkien elf call?
Sapphire.
Yeah. What's a Tolkien elf call a cell phone? We're playing Delta Green, and I need an elven word for cell phone for no reason.
That's funny.
Everything is just elven words. To me, that is the pinnacle of something sounding fantastical. Is just,
That's funny.
Yeah.
I use Tolkien for a lot of like creation myth stuff. Like I like the world building enough for like.
Yeah.
Sometimes
I do have a whole campaign and a world and a language that I want to write, and that is extraordinarily heavily inspired by Tolkien. It's the one I told you about with you guys, which I think probably at some point we will play on air with the half elf. But we will need at least one more player. I feel like actually I would want 4 or more. I might even want 6 people in that, but I feel like at least 4. At least 4. I want it to
6
be
is too much.
I want it to be a player party.
Yeah, I know.
I want it to be a
I remember
party.
the concept.
Well, overall, the concept is there is a main character in that campaign, which is a non-traditional thing to do, and everybody else in the party, like, you're still important. You'll have arcs and everything like that, but your job is to make sure that the main person does what they need to do. That is the campaign. Like, even if they were an NPC, it might make more sense to a party if you think about it from that perspective of like, hey, this whole thing's an escort mission, and you got to escort this NPC. I just want to make the NPC a player, where it's
the Fellowship of the Half Elf.
Yeah. Oh, very much so. It's so heavily Tolkien inspired. But yeah. Anyways, thanks for listening to Take the Damage podcast by Unfortunate Ones, as we explored what has inspired us in probably a very minimal way, because we probably could have talked about that for 1,000 years. I'm Sov. You can find me over at startplaying.games if you ever want to hop in one of my games or request one. Link will be in the description.
Nix. You can follow our Discord and you can see some of the work in progress artwork that I've been doing on for some of our upcoming sessions, some of our upcoming ideas we're going to do with the system exploration and whatnot. I've been posting some of that stuff up there.
Yeah.
Greythorn, links in the description. I might be playing a Delta Green game by the time this drops. I'm not sure.
Nice.
Maybe. Or maybe I'll just be wrangling for fantasy retards around. Who knows?
I do want to watch your Delta Green stuff before we play the second session. I also want to thoroughly read through the book before we play through the second session of, or not session, second game of Delta. Anyways, make sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell on YouTube, go over to our website or Patreon to become actual members and get some extra content, as well as you can find us over on our Discord. Again, links for all of these things will be in the description, and thanks for listening.
Yep. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.